What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Kelsey's Constrictors. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to properly handle your snake. No matter if you're looking for your first reptile friend or you've been in this for a while, this is really good important information to remember, especially if you end up with an animal that is a little more on the defensive side. These tips can help you handle them, and you can trust them not to bite you, and they can trust you not to hurt them. I'm also going to cover what to do if you get bit, so make sure you watch till the end. So before I open any drawers and show you any snakes, I want to talk about how age affects temperament. So if you have seen my unboxing video with my pied ball python, she actually bit me in the video. She was probably about 4 to 6 months old when I got her. So it's very common with young snakes, ball pythons specifically, because that's mostly what my collection is. It's very common for young snakes to have a defensive response. If you walk by them or you have your hand in front of them, they're just so small and we're so large. Imagine if a giant ripped the roof off of your house and just stuck their hand in there and grabbed you out. I think you'd be pretty scared too. So you have to remember that they're very small, especially when they're hatchlings, and we're so much bigger than them, so they have this immediate defensive response a lot of times, just because they're scared and they haven't gotten time to get to know us yet. Usually over time, especially if you spend the work into trying to tame and make the animal handleable, they will calm down quite a bit and mellow out. So this video should help you do that to some degree. Additionally, keep in mind that these techniques are only for ball pythons, boas, and those types of snakes. As far as green tree pythons and arboreal species, those have to be handled completely different, so please do not do that if you have that kind of snake. Please find a video that is on those animals specifically, because I don't have them, I've never had them, and I know that you have to handle them differently, especially with the green tree pythons, for example. They spend most of their time sitting on a branch, or if you have a PVC enclosure, they might be on a PVC pipe. So you can't just rip the snake off of the PVC pipe, whatever they're laying on their branch. You have to take the entire pipe off because they're very delicate animals and you can break their spines. So that being said, this is for ball pythons and boas specifically, or any other snake that fits those parameters. So now let me show you exactly how to get a snake out of its enclosure. So the first thing you're going to need is going to be a snake hook. This is just a cheap one that I got from PetSmart. You can get them online or any pet store near you. I don't use this for my ball pythons. I do tend to use it for my boa more often than not, because she is going to get so big. I want her to be trained to know, okay, my handler's hand is in here not to give me food but to get me out. So that's what I use this for. If you want to use this for your ball pythons, you can. If you're nervous about it, or this is your first time, or you just want to ensure that their head is not near your hand when you go to get them out, you can use this to kind of hold their head away. I'll show you. But yeah, you can have this. It's kind of optional unless you have a bigger snake. Reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, I would also recommend it for boas, even though they don't get quite as big. They're very, very large animals. They're very, very strong, so you definitely want them trained to a T to know, is my handler giving me food or are they not at this moment in time? So definitely get yourself one of those, especially if you plan on keeping bigger snakes. So that being said, this is Mirage. She tends to have an attitude. I don't know if y'all can see in her little bin here. She's kind of, her head's kind of posing up to strike at me. And then this is Lucky. They're about the same age. Lucky is quite a bit more mellow, and Mirage, I don't handle her as much. Lucky is from Ember's ball pythons, and they do a great job with their snakes, so that's probably why her temperament's a little bit better, because I know they handle their snakes more often than I do, especially now that my snakes aren't in my house. I'm not able to handle them as much as I was. So she tends to have an attitude, so I will show you first with her, and then maybe I'll get bit on camera again, who knows. Most of my snakes are pretty good. They don't usually bite me. You just want to come behind the snake, wherever their head is not, and you just grab them just like that. And if they're scared, then they will usually ball up, which is why they're called a ball python, or sometimes they can get defensive, and that's when they will strike at you or bite you. But that's how you get a snake out, just like that. You just go behind their body, pick them up in the middle of their body. You don't want to pick them up by the tail. Very sensitive and delicate. You want to support the weight of their body as much as you can. And ball pythons, they like to hold on. Once you have them in your hand, if they're explorative, then they'll kind of do their thing. So that is how you get the snake out. And now we'll do it with Mirage. Like I said, she's got a little bit of an attitude, so she's kind of posing up here. She's like, what are you doing? So again, even if they look defensive like this, you know, it's kind of a thing of like showing them who's boss, but in a nice way. So you want them to know, okay, this person's not going to hurt me. So that's where the repetition comes in. If you have an animal that's a problem animal, very defensive, you just want to handle them every day and get them used to, okay, this is not a dangerous situation. I'm going to be fine. See her head pop up. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but her head pops up when I stick my hand in there. You just come behind. Even though she's in defense mode with her head all in an S, just pick her right up and she's totally fine. Once I have her in my hand, you gotta kind of picture yourself like a tree. If your hand, I'm going like all Bob Ross on y'all. If your hand is a tree, a happy little tree branch, you want the snake to feel safe and supported. And they're not usually gonna bite you while they're in your hand because that means you could drop them. So they're not gonna bite usually the hand that is holding them, but you know, you always have those weird anomalies. But once you have them in your hand, they're usually fine. When you're ready to put them back, if they're explorative and friendly and you don't have any issues with them, you can just hold them here down by their substrate and they'll be like, oh, time for me to go back in, and then they'll just slither their way inside. Or if you want and you don't want to wait, because some of my snakes are really slow, then I'll just go, okay, put your head down, put your body down, put them down. That's it. Alright, so now that I've showed you babies, let's go with a little bit bigger. Nope, we're not going in there. Thank you, goodbye. So now I'll show you a couple of my bigger snakes. It's the exact same thing. So I've got these two breeding right now. This is my Pastel Possible Super Pastel Cupcake, and I've got my TSK boy in here with her. Hopefully make some nice hets. I did check on them a little while ago. They are not locked. He tries. I swear he tries. Hasn't gotten it yet, so we'll see what happens. So this is Sammy. He was sold to me as a vanilla. He was also sold to me as a female. It's a male, and he's either a vanilla or a fire, I think. Who knows? He's super friendly, so I ain't gonna worry about him. Right in the middle of the body, in the back, straight up. That's it. Now, both fortunately and unfortunately, I do not have any large snakes that try to bite me. They are all mostly very friendly. This is my Pastel GHI. She tends to be pretty scared, and she can be moody and hissy. Get her head there. And she hides away. Right in the middle of the body. Straight up. So mostly it's my babies that give me problems because, like I said, I don't handle them as much as I was. So they can be a bit defensive. Alright, this is Athena. She is a Champagne Super Pastel Inchy. She was very defensive and scared when I first got her, and now she's one of my best tempered snakes. She's also gotten huge. This girl is definitely a foodie. She wants food every time I open her cage. Where's her head at? There it is. She wants food every single time I open the bin. She thinks I'm going to give her a rat. So I do have to be careful with her. If she gets kind of like, her head will bounce out at me. Have to be careful not to get tagged. Alright, so now let's go over how to use a snake hook. So this is Phoenix. She's my red-tailed boa. This is a, like I said earlier, retractable snake hook. You can get it at any pet store. So what I do is, like I said, you're going to want to do this for bigger snakes because you're going to train them that every time you open this, it's not necessarily food time. I used to take her out to feed her because I didn't want her to ever associate my hand in here with her eating, but especially now that I have them in someone else's house, I can't really do that. So this is what we're going to do. So I take off her logs because she loves to hang out underneath her logs. And you can already see she's pretty interested in my hand. Not necessarily a feeding response.
I should also mention here that you should always wash your hands before you reach your hand inside your snake's enclosure or go to grab them or get them out. Especially if you've been messing around with rats, whether they're frozen or alive, the snakes can smell that on your hands, so make sure you wash your hands before you get them out.
Just her seeing, or I guess sensing the warmth of my hand. So all I do, if I'm getting ready to feed her, then I'll just immediately put the rat in there. And if I'm not, if I want to get her out, I just kind of touch her on the tail, on the back, maybe even on the head. If she's got a feeding response, if she moves her head towards me quick, like she wants to tag my hand, I definitely do go for the head immediately. And then if she's up in the air at my hand like this, then I will just hook her neck and pull it away and hold it here while I do the exact same thing that I showed you earlier, and coming in from behind, picking her straight up. She's a very good girl. I don't really have to worry about her biting me. She's never bit me. She's never hissed at me. But she did just shed, so you get to see her in all of her beauty with the sunlight streaming upon her face. One thing I've noticed for some reason is that my snakes all really like electronics, whether it's my phone, camera, computer. I don't know if they can sense the heat or the radioactive waves or what, but with her, because she likes to lay on her logs, I'll put her logs back wherever she had them, wherever I had them. And then I just set her in here and she'll go along her merry way. So my camera ended up dying before I got to the last segment of the video, so I had to come back and charge it. So we're back at my house. But the last thing that I want to touch on for this video is what to do if you get bit. So your pet snake is probably not trying to kill you when it bites you. There's two main types of bites that you'll get from one of your snakes, and that would either be what's called a tag or an actual bite. Both types of bites are usually a feeding response or a defense response. So a tag is where a snake will literally just tag you with their mouth. So it's not a real bite where they hang on, they just hit you real quick. Sometimes they use teeth, sometimes they don't. So if they strike at you really quick and then pull away, they could either just be trying to threaten you to go away from them if they don't use their teeth, or they might actually tag you with their teeth. If that happens, not a big deal. You can still pick them up like normal and do your normal session. Unless it happens continuously, then you may want to give the snake a break because they're very obviously stressed out, and you may want to give them some time to get reacclimated and then try again later in the day or maybe the next day. Now, if your snake bites you and holds on, then there's a couple of different things that you can do or try to get them to let go. Sometimes they will let go in a few seconds, but if they don't let go for a considerable amount of time, there's a couple things you can do to try and get them to let go. The first thing you can try is to just run their head under some warm tap water, not hot, not cold, just warm tap water, or you can try cold if the warm doesn't work, but usually that'll get them to let go. If that doesn't work, you can use a diluted vinegar solution mixed with water in a spray bottle and just spray their head lightly a couple of times, and that should get them to let go. And that's about all I have for today's video. Thanks for watching. As always, hit the like button and subscribe if you love snakes. I come out with new videos every single week. Make sure you check us out on Instagram. It's Kelsey's Constrictors, and I'll see y'all next time. Cake. And then I've got my GSK boy in here. I don't want to say all that. No, I'm not going to say all that. Whatever. Goodbye.